Hey Lawn Care Nation, in this video I want to talk about answering customer phone calls and text messages when they come at all hours of the day. But before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and you click that notification bell so that you're notified right away when I make videos like this that have the potential to make your business grow. Okay, so I recently got a question sent through Instagram direct message from one of my followers, and I thought this would be a good video to answer the question on and maybe help a lot of you guys out in the process. So the person says, "Hi, my name is Guillermo. I run my own small lawn and landscaping business. My question to you is, how do I manage calls? For example, customers be texting early Sunday mornings and sending late night messages. How do I manage so I can have my own personal time with my family?" Well, Guillermo, great question. And this is something that we all have to deal with at some point. Of course, early on in your business, this won't be as much of an issue as you'll have or be in that stage of your business where you have more time than you have work. And in those early stages, I would absolutely suggest being very proactive with those customer calls and answering those calls right away, regardless of when they're being sent, whether it's on the weekend or in the evenings as well. It can be a bit of an annoyance if you're, with your family trying to spend some time. But in those first, beginning stages, and you don't have those clients to sustain your business at that point, you want to make sure that you are answering those calls in a timely manner, ASAP to lock in those jobs. One of the biggest complaints that I hear from clients is, in the busy spring, is that they've called a bunch of companies and I'm the only one that's responded to them. So it makes it very easy to land those jobs when you're suddenly the only option for those clients. So early on, I would suggest just making sure that you're handling those calls ASAP. But as your business grows and that work starts to fill and you start having less free time and a lot of available work to you, this is where that issue starts to become more and more of a hindrance because you do want to be able to step away and separate your time from your business time. You want to have that personal family time as well. So I was thinking about this and thinking about what I've done over the past 16 years in business, and I came up with 5 things that you can do and start to incorporate in your business to help manage calls and text messages and start to divide that time. Okay, so number 1 is to make sure that your voicemail message does incorporate your business hours in that message, that it's very clear that, thank you for calling such and such company. Business hours are Monday to Friday, 9 to 4, for example, that you have that right away, right off the beginning. So if they're calling you as in a voice call, they're hearing that right away, so that if it's Saturday or Sunday, they know that technically no one is in the office, or if it's after hours, they know that no one is in the office. Encourage them to leave a message and that you'll get back to them as soon as possible. So you want to make sure that you have this as part of your voicemail message, but you also want to make sure that those business hours are prominently displayed on your website, as well as your Google My Business page and your Facebook page and wherever else you have a business listing for your business online. You want to make sure that those business hours are they're prominently displayed across all of those platforms. Over time, you'll start to find that, at least for your regular customers, they'll start to understand this dynamic that there's business hours and not business hours. And as long as you have those displayed prominently, they sort of get the picture that they're not going to get a response right away. Okay, number 2 is simply don't answer the phone when you get those calls after hours. This can be difficult, like I said, and kind of counterintuitive when you're building your business. But again, it depends on that stage of business that you're in, whether you're just building your business or whether you're already established. If you're already established, it makes it a lot easier to just let it go to voicemail, let them hear that message that tells them when your business hours are, and they're encouraged to leave a message, and you're letting them know that you'll get back to them as soon as you can. As long as you have that message communicated with your hours, I find that there isn't much issue with being able to respond back to them on a timely manner. If they're leaving a call in the evening and you call them back the next day, or if they're leaving a call or a voicemail on the weekend and you get back to them Monday morning. Okay, my next tip is to think about why customers are leaving those calls after hours. If you're getting a bunch of calls on the weekend, or if you're getting calls predominantly in the evenings, start to think about why that is. And of course, that would be because people work as well. And in a lot of cases, they're not able to, do things for their own personal needs, like, calling contractors and stuff to take care of their own homes if they're at work, working for somebody else. So a lot of times they'll try to make those calls in the evening when they're home or on the weekends. So consider taking one day of that weekend and answering those calls, making yourself available to be able to answer those calls on that particular day of the weekend, and then saving the next day for family time. So for example, maybe having Sundays as dedicated family time, and then Saturdays you could be open to receiving calls. It doesn't mean you have to be out there working and mowing lawns. If you want to go to your kids football games or baseball games or whatever the case may be, but be open to at least answering the phone on one day in the weekend to make yourself available for those people that can't necessarily call you during regular business hours. My next tip is to make sure you have an electronic way for people to leave those requests. For me on my website, I have a form where people can go and book a free estimate. And basically what it does is it just takes their name, their phone number, their address. I've got a bunch of preset questions on there that people can answer regarding what services they're looking for. And it also asks them questions like if their back gate is locked and whether they have dogs loose during the day, and basically sets it up so that not only are they requesting that free estimate, but they're also giving me permission to show up on their property unannounced so that I can take a look and be able to put that estimate together and email it to them within 7 days of their request. I find that as long as you have a way to have those customers be able to request a certain job or an estimate, that is enough to cut down on a lot of those calls, and it can save a lot of time. The key here too is that I also state this on my voicemail message, so that when customers are calling, not only do they hear the business hours, but I also tell them something like, due to the extreme busy season or the rush, that calls can't always be returned in a timely fashion, and for quicker service, to head on over to my website and use the request a free estimate form. And it's amazing to me when I started to implement this, how a phone call would come in and I would ignore it and let it go to voicemail. And, a few minutes later, I would get an email from my website with a request a free form information from that client. And it just started happening over and over again that people would phone, they would hear the message, and then it would direct them to the website, and they would do that because that's all they really want to do. They just want somebody to come out and give them a quote, and this was an easy way for them to facilitate that request. On a side note, if you're going to have a request a free estimate type form on your website, ensure that it's set up so that it automatically sends a response back to the client so that they know that that request was received. So when they send or fill in that form, they automatically get an email back right away saying, we've received your request, and somebody will be in touch within 7 days with your estimate. So one of the last steps that I have for you is, as your business grows, if you're getting to a point where it's just too much to manage, but you're not at the point yet where, maybe you have a shop and you want to have a dedicated, say, receptionist answering the phone all the time, try a virtual receptionist or a virtual answering service. These are companies where you pay a monthly fee and you basically forward your calls to them. So when a customer phones up your number, it gets answered by a live person as a virtual assistant, and they will take that customer's information and relay a message on your behalf that somebody will be in contact with them, or they'll say something like you're busy on a job, but you'll be in contact with them to arrange an estimate or to call them back. And this can help a lot as well. If your clients or your area that you're in is maybe some older people that are more used to having that personal touch and wanting to hear a live person on the end other than leaving a message or using an electronic form. So this can be another great option. And actually, when I first started in lawn care full time and I purchased a franchise system, this is basically what they had. They had a full-time receptionist that was managing all of the calls for all of the franchisees. So on every franchisee trailer, all of the advertisements for work, there was the one central phone number. So when customers called that number, it went to the head office and there'd be a live person that would answer the call. And basically, this is all they would do. They would take that customer's information and basically tell them that somebody would be in contact with them, as soon as possible. And then they would relay that information to whichever franchisee was working in that particular territory or in the area closest to that potential customer, and you would then get that information and then call that customer back and arrange a free estimate. So a virtual assistant or an answering service can work very much like this, and can also give your company the appearance that it's much larger than it actually is by having a live receptionist answering calls at all times. Now, as far as text messages go, this can be a little bit more tricky because, of course, you can't have a text message come through and automatically send a text message back that says your business hours. And of course, if you're going to type out that message, you might as well, message the customer, the answer to their question. So in this case, the best thing to do is, if it's outside of those business hours, is to basically just put it on hold and respond when your business hours are back in session. So if it's a call that's coming in the evening, then just answer it the next day once you're back working. If it's a call that comes, or a text message that's coming in on the weekend, then just wait till that Monday morning and answer that text message at that time. And they'll understand. You can even add a little bit of a sentence there on a text message for that delayed response, and just say, sorry for the delayed response. I just got back into the office and saw your message here. Just a way to iterate that there are business hours that you go by, and people will quickly get the idea that you're not going to respond to their questions or their requests at any hours of the day. So here's a bonus tip. Because a lot of us lawn care businesses are mainly single owner operator type businesses, and we're mobile businesses, we're using our personal mobile cell phone as the company's phone number, as well as your personal phone number. And this is great when you get started. It's very convenient. It's also more cost effective, not having two separate phone lines. But as your business grows, it may be worth investing in a second, separate dedicated phone numbers. I know a lot of new cell phones out there, including the latest iPhones and some Android phones, have the ability to have two separate SIM cards in the phone and be able to receive calls from two separate numbers. And this might be a great way as your business grows to be able to manage those calls and still be able to have the one device that you use for personal use as well as business use. And you can have that business number, go to voicemail during those weekends and after hours, and have those calls basically turned off from sharing any notifications or ringing on your device if it's outside of those certain hours, but still have that device with you for those personal calls. So another great option here with devices that are able to use multiple SIM cards. So there you have it, Lawn Care Nation. Those are my tips and suggestions for managing customer phone calls and texts in your lawn care business, especially if you're using a single phone number for both personal and business use. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of my tips and suggestions, and leave any of your tips and suggestions for managing customer phone calls and texts in your lawn care business. So that's it for this one, guys. Here's to wishing you guys all overwhelming success and freedom in your lawn care business. Bye for now.